Hello again, guys. It's Kale here from the PS Podcast. I'm joined, as ever, by my good friend, Govinda Whitehurst.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. We're here today to talk to you about Life is Strange. A lovely little game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game.
It is a game. It is, in fact, an episodic graphic adventure video game developed by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Square Enix. It's available on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 3, 4, 360 and Xbox One, and consists of 5 episodes that were released periodically throughout 2015.
Chances are, if you're listening to this, you've finished it.
And this is your official spoiler warning. We will be going deep, balls deep.
If you haven't played it and plan to, maybe just store this podcast for later.
Put it in your back pocket.
Keep it on the back burner and don't listen to it.
Save it for a rainy day.
Or if you just want like a little bit of something, maybe put it on like 3 times speed and just kind of skim through.
People do that. It's
insane.
insane.
You smash through like a 2-hour podcast in less than that.
But you really need the cadence. I want people to...
The cadence is there, it's just quicker.
Much quicker. Okay, so I think the way we're going to approach this one is we're just going to sort of move through the game and talk about it a little bit. Last time we fell into the classic trap of not assuming that everyone had played it. We won't do that this time.
Yeah, so we're not going to explain the game. You played it, and we're just going to talk about our experiences.
First off, general thoughts.
I liked it not as much as you did.
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. It was good. Some of it I found pretty predictable.
It's the classic... My first thing that I said to everyone is it's a time travel story, so it's going to be fun most of the way through, but the ending will disappoint you. That's sort of how I felt.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think there were better, like, every episode ends with those cliffhangers.
Which are pretty solid.
So they're pretty solid. I thought the one where you save William, Chloe's dad, and then you come, like, the end of the episode is you opening the door and Chloe, in this different reality, and Chloe shows up in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's pretty
heavy. And then
heavy.
the episode ends. That one was pretty solid.
That's pretty affecting.
The end of episode 3?
Yes, it was. It was. Yeah, that was pretty intense. And of course, episode 4, when the murderer is revealed to be...
Though that one, I feel like, was predictable.
I didn't see it coming at all. I just went... Goong, had the Inception sound and just went, what the fuck?
It was the episode before being called Dark Room, you having a photography teacher, and then there's in the Dark Room episode, you go to the dance to try and warn Victoria and whatnot that Nathan's coming for them. And then Mr. Jefferson gets up and is announcing the winner for the photo competition, and everyone's just like, "We love you, Mr. Jefferson.
So hot.
You're so hot." Ah. And I don't know what it was about that, but as soon as that was happening and he was getting up, I looked at him and was like, "It's you."
See, I had no idea. I had no idea.
You. And then it was.
I kind of liked, while we're there, I kind of really liked the bait and switch of Nathan. Like, you think it's him the whole time, and he is kind of a psycho.
Well, he's kind of, but he's just getting used.
Yeah, like, he's sort of just as much as a victim. And I kind of like how they just kind of kill him off screen. Like, you don't even really see him towards the end.
Oh, because, Jeffo kills him, eh?
He becomes a liability.
He's already dead.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. And did you find you get the text message from him. You don't even have to find it.
At the end?
Yeah, like Nathan sends you a text message and it's kind of like, I'm sorry. Like, he's trying to apologize. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I thought all that was... There's some really interesting gameplay mechanics, I think, like the text messages. And especially when you start hitting alternate timelines and, like, you're getting these weird fucking texts. Yeah. Especially, I think it's episode 5.
The Nightmare?
Yeah, and, like, you're getting
messages.
those creepy text messages.
Yeah. As much as the mechanic of the actual time traveling, like, I thought was a good idea. There was something about the way they did it that just wasn't quite right.
It's something I've never seen attempted before.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of another game that's tried something like that. And I still don't truly understand how it works. So it's like you walk into an area and there's like a set reel of, say, 3 minutes of activity. And that just happens. And you just rewind that. Like, it's like that scene plays out.
The one that was the most, maybe not frustrating, it just seemed the most frustrating, but you're in the, I forget what episode, but you're in the diner and you've got to try and get the keys off 10 points for his name.
I've got it here. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the guy in the trailer.
So you've got to keep talking to Nathan, you've got to start talking to Officer Barry, and you've got to start talking to what's-his-face, and you've got to be asking them different questions and then going back and then asking them different questions again based on the things you learnt, and then every so often you'll have to...
It was Frank Bowers.
Frank, yep. And then every so often you'll have to talk to, say, Officer Barry. He'll tell you something about Nathan. You've got to go to Nathan and talk to him about the thing.
Yep.
And I just felt like it... After a while, it was just convoluted. And
I can't even remember how I got it. I remember I like spilt his beans and stuff.
I got him to show me a photo or something of Rachel Amber.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And he pulls the keys out on the table. You take them. And once you have them in your possession, you can rewind time and do it again.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have the keys anymore.
It's interesting. Like, I think the one that really blew my mind, because it doesn't really explain its rules so well.
Yep.
And the one that really got me is when Max and Chloe are breaking into the principal's office.
Yeah, and you've got to get in there
and then rewind the time.
Yeah.
And I was like that because I didn't think about the location.
Yeah, that took me a while to figure out as
well.
well.
But it makes perfect sense.
The same thing, the one that I got real stuck on early on, not really stuck, but I had to look it up because I was like, what the fuck? I think it was maybe because I wasn't used to the mechanic yet, so I didn't think about it as my first like port of call to get past the mini puzzle.
Yep.
But you're trying to tip paint on Victoria.
Oh yeah, the very
first.
Which
She's sitting on the steps, and all you have to do is go tamper with the bucket
and the heel hoist thing.
And I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that took me a little while too, but I was kind of like pretty into it because that whole first scene there's like the jocks throwing the football, and like you can rewind that, and they hit the goth chick in the back of the head.
And you can tell it and move. As if she wouldn't be so sus on you.
She is. Did you save her every time?
Yeah, and then at the very end, she's like, every time I see you, I need to duck, and then she falls into a burning building.
Oh, you know what? I actually missed the very last one. I think the last time I saw her was at the pool party. What, the Vortex Club?
Vortex Club party, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one, as everything's going to shit, and you're trying to get to the diner to get the photo off Old Mate.
Old Mate.
What's his name? The kid who has a crush on her.
Warren.
So you're trying to get the photo off Warren to go back again. And as you go on the right-hand side, she's stuck at the top floor of a building. And you've got to climb up, pull a plank over, and like put it over the thing. But I kept talking to her and not seeing the plank that I had to lift up.
Okay.
So I was like, quick, you got to come with me. And she'd go, oh no, every time I see you, I have to duck or something's about to hit me. So she takes a couple steps backwards.
And that gets her.
And then she falls into the burning building.
Holy
she
shit.
falls the floor down into the burning building.
I missed that.
Did you save the guy there as well?
There's a few. There's a whole bunch in that scene when the tornado's hitting.
On the opposite side of the street, you have to go, I think you have to go through, and you got to turn the power on so that the sprinklers go on so you can get past the fire. Yep. But there's a guy in the room who just gets electrocuted to death.
What about the guy outside? I think he's just like the sort of hipster dude. I mean, there's so many, but he's one of them, and he'll get hit by a flying piece of debris if you don't move him out of the way.
Oh, I might have missed him. I think
there's a whole bunch going on in that scene. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this game is the characters. Like, they build there's the fucking stoner dudes that are such legends, and then there's like the skater crew. And like, there's that whole thing with them at the start, like how... I think that's to get one of the photographs, like you have to try and not be a poser to the skaters and like throw down.
She called you a poser, so then you learn about like a tray flip.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, do a tray flip. And he's like, oh, you're not a poser. It's part of the problems I had with this, how like generic it is. In certain senses, like
it's very like it's like
you've got your bitch with her entourage of weaker willed people.
That's at every school, man. We had that.
No, but not to like that degree where like
We're not American.
get me a towel, and then they don't get her a towel, and then they're like, well, obviously never trust you with anything, and like I don't know, just
Actually,
like
when
the Mean Girls group. You
I
know?
1000% had that when I went to school in Byron Bay. There was absolutely that clique of girls, and the one girl that would just reign supreme.
And
So I sort of could relate to that a little more.
yeah, I don't know. There was just the dialogue sometimes.
I
was
think
killing me.
The problem with the dialogue is it's kind of like an indie movie, like say Garden State, trying to prove its cred. Like it's name dropping all this stuff constantly, like music and bands and obscure movies and stuff. And I think that's where the dialogue gets a bit forced.
Yeah, I know Geodude disagrees with me, but no one says hella.
People
like
say
that.
hella.
Not like that.
Not in Australia.
I forget what happens. I think it's like maybe in earlier episodes, like 2 or 3 or something. But there's something that Chloe does, and Max is there. She's like, "You're such a boss, Chloe," and I was like, "Yuck! This is so fucking forced."
I didn't have that problem, and I feel
I couldn't ignore it. Like,
I think for where that comes from, like it's a very Northern California. I think that's the slang there. Like we don't have anything like it here.
I don't know. What is a French developer
Yeah,
with Northern Californian slang? I don't think.
but
so.
they lived there. Like that's like they went and did all the research. I think you'll find like Bay Area. That's the kind of slang that's going on.
No, maybe it's just something like about like Max's delivery of it, because it was always Max saying things that annoyed me more than anyone else.
She was pretty interesting. I loved how like painfully awkward she was with something, and she was kind of like she was quite pretentious.
Yeah,
I do like Max as a character though.
she seemed to be like something. I feel like her character design should have been like aged up slightly.
She doesn't look 18.
She does not look 18. She looks
like
14.
Yeah.
And I
could
can't
believe that.
I noticed it the entire game. Like Chloe looks like a woman. Victoria does.
She's just,
And Max is just not.
Not all women develop like that, Govinda.
That's why like at first I struggled. They're like, they're 18. Like I don't get it. Where are they? What school are they in?
It's actually Blackwell Academy.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Okay, I just
but like,
thought-
it took me because like they're like, oh, it's so hard to get in. I'm like, what do you mean get in? You're in high school.
Yeah. No, I think they're out of high school.
No,
Or
they're
maybe
not.
it's senior year.
It's senior year, but it seems to be like some sort of boarding school.
Yeah. It's
But,
like
like,
very prestigious.
I don't understand. That was something I really struggled to grasp. Maybe
Again-
if someone knows, let me know, because I didn't
think-
understand.
It's funny. I think that's another cultural thing for us. Like Australia doesn't have that. That's not a
Well,
thing.
it's not even that. Like, it doesn't even seem like a boarding school, because a boarding school's not hard to get into. You just have money.
Yeah. I think they said that you had to like pass an entrance exam.
Yeah,
to
or
get
maybe
into
I
this.
could be wrong. Boarding schools might have that as well, because I imagine they're kind of prestigious as well.
Yeah.
But it took me like an episode or so to figure out like what, because until I looked at her Max's class schedule on her wall and realized she's still doing English and maths, and
Yep.
I was
yep.
like, oh, this is actually just a high school.
Yeah. It's just like something. Going back to the characters though, actually, and I guess while we're there, environmental stuff like that, like how you could see her
Yeah.
schedule and
Yeah.
like just all the little things in her room. I thought that was like one of the game's strongest points.
I couldn't help but notice that I would keep watering the plant, and then nothing ever amounted from it.
Did it die? Because
No.
the way it goes, if you water it in episode 1 and don't water it in episode 2, it'll live. And if you don't water it in episode 1, but you do in episode 2, it'll live. And for the record, the plant's name was Lisa.
But if you water it in every episode, it'll die.
I think, yeah, you overwater it.
Well, it just didn't say anything. Like I got no resolution. I got no closure on this
About
plant that I was
Lisa.
trying to take care of. There's
Actually-
life in my hands.
I actually really like that.
Um,
I love just all the little things too. Like, I think it's still the first episode when you're sort of in the dorms and you can just kind of wander up and down. And like, did you find, what was her name? The nice preppy girl. I think it was.
Yeah,
Who was it? It wasn't Courtney. It was the one, and she had the birth.
Laura. Is that where Laura? No, I don't think there is.
I'm
I'm getting confused with Street Fighter.
I believe it doesn't really matter, but she was one of the other students, and like she'd had a birth. She was like pregnant. She'd taken like a pregnancy test.
Whoa, no, I didn't see that at all.
Oh, it was Juliet. It was Juliet.
I have no recollection of a pregnancy test.
Well, she'd been banging one of the football players, and like another one of the girls,